to discuss it all, Anna Palmer joins me here on set, no less. Anna, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Author of the Politico Playbook, senior Washington correspondent for Politico, friend of the program.
Yes.
So let's begin right there. It is certainly a fight to pick. We have heard already today again from Sean Spicer, the incoming press secretary, that look, John Lewis is the one who started it. The president-elect just finished it. The optics of this, particularly on this day, are what?
Not good. I mean, I think we put this in Playbook, but basically John Lewis is one of the figures in politics that the Republicans and Democrats do not want to be on the wrong side of. And you've seen Trump's Republican colleagues, the lawmakers, really kind of trying to sidestep this. They don't want to be at odds with him.
Interestingly, because we see now reports of at least 20 Democratic members of Congress, his colleagues, saying that they will be boycotting the inauguration. It's interesting to unpack the president-elect's tweets, both from the perspective of the characterization of a district that is actually not the case, and also a seemingly, a lack of information as it regards John Lewis's singular history.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think John Lewis actually represents Atlanta. That's a very wealthy district, Emory College. So certainly Trump's characterization of his district is not accurate. I think the practical implication, though, of Democrats deciding to boycott, there are some Republicans even that are not also going to the inauguration. They've decided to do other things. It doesn't mean much in terms of he's going to be sworn in as president, but it's not that kind of unification moment. It certainly isn't the Trump celebrity moment that he wanted to bring this country together, where he's going to be that kind of unifying figure.
What sort of galvanizing moment can this then be for a Democratic Party that is in the minority in both houses of Congress, obviously doesn't have the presidency, as well as looking at a Supreme Court nominee who could turn things ideologically? What sort of moment can this then be?
Democrats, as you said, they're in the wilderness, right? They have very little hope or optimism in terms of either gaining back either of the houses in 2018, and they haven't had a very successful time in terms of actually taking on any of Trump's cabinet members to say, we're going to take this guy down or we're going to take this woman down. So this is actually something where you could see some energy, particularly on the left, when there's still kind of these fissures between the Bernie Sanders faction of the Democratic Party and the Hillary Clinton faction, to say, listen, this is something we can all rally behind.
Interestingly, the Affordable Care Act, meanwhile, front and center there. As we see then a president-elect who once again says the repeal and the replacement will happen, essentially simultaneously in his words. This is at odds now with GOP lawmakers, including House Speaker Paul Ryan, who has looked to suddenly step away. Again, it was a campaign promise that now has been promised to be done in a matter of days, if not weeks. He also, in a report, has promised insurance for everybody. The stakes seem to be continuing to be raised here.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think you see Donald Trump out on a limb where no other Republican is. I think they all have said that we want to try to do the repeal and then replace. It's going to take time. Certainly, it seems that there is some lack of understanding, at least at Trump. I think inside Trump Tower, I think inside the actual operatives that are working for Trump, they understand that what he's saying is going to be very difficult to be promised. I mean, we've talked to House leadership. They don't think anything's going to happen, at least for the next couple of months on this, in terms of trying to find some kind of a replacement. But nobody is saying, except for Donald Trump, that everybody is going to be insured.
What do you think he means then when he says insurance for everybody, quote, end quote?
I think that's something that is, it sounds good to the American people, but what it actually means in the nitty-gritty details is something that we don't know. They haven't laid out a plan. This is the first time, though, he said that they're close to formulating a plan. So it's a lot further along.
We heard Sean Spicer today, earlier on CBS This Morning, say or infer, the plan exists. You got to give us 4 more days because the inauguration hasn't happened. But again, the suggestion that there is a plan in place seems to run counter, if nothing else, to the notions of GOP lawmakers who, however, were anxious to see a repeal and eventual replacement. I also want to ask you, given your particular line of work, suggestions now, we'd heard it percolating, but that the press may be removed from the White House altogether. What do you make of it?
I think this is something that the media cares a lot about. I don't think the American public probably has any concept of what this actually means. But as far as the White House press corps, as far as access, if they move the working space of the White House press corps out of the building, that means you're not going to have the access, the ability to go in and ask Sean Spicer, have those kind of off-the-record conversations that are so important. And so I think this is going to be something you will see a lot of backlash among the media as they try to say, do not limit this. And it's important to note, previous administrations have tried to limit access, and it has really been a bad thing that they've had to walk back.
As was noted, the last person to do this was Hillary Clinton in 1993, and such was the uproar. It did not eventually come to pass. But Major Garrett, joining us earlier today, said that he believes that Donald Trump will do this and will do it proudly. That the symbolic. That image of walking a dishonest media out of the White House will have real political capital as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the thing that they've been making. Sean Spicer has been saying for a couple of weeks now that, we want to have other people. We don't just think the elite media should be those that are asking, him questions or people of the Trump administration questions. And so I think you're going to see tweaks and different things where they try to, quote unquote, democratize the news a little bit and bring in other voices. And this is kind of that first step.
Get you out of here on this one then. 4 days hence, the inauguration will begin. What kind of day do you expect it to be?
I think it's going to be a day unlike probably any other. The real question is what happens in terms of the crowds, because we're hearing that they're probably not going to be as big as everybody has expected, certainly not the Obama-sized crowds. And then, I mean, for us, kind of the media, the people that are the people around there's always all these parties and events and kind of mingling that's happening. And we're going to it's going to be very interesting to see does that happen in a Trump administration or not?
It'll be very fascinating to see. We'll all be there. So I guess we'll all see together.
Exactly.
Anna Palmer, as always, really appreciate it.
Thank you.